Hi, I'm Crystal the Cottage Witch, and today we're going to be going over how to make Phoenix Renewal Oil. First off, I want to say, well, this is the day after I filmed the La Befana video, because my work schedule changed again. I am now working 8 to 8, Monday through Friday, and now Saturdays, 9 to 5. So I'm going to be trying to film as many videos in bulk as I can to make sure that I still upload regularly. You know what I mean? Hopefully I said it right. I don't even know. My brain is so fried at this point. But hopefully, future Crystal is able to keep up with comments and whatnot. I'm still behind in my emails. I still haven't opened my emails. I am behind in my text messages from my friends. I love you all. You guys know what's going on. Sorry if I haven't responded, or if I opened it and I read it and haven't responded. I'm just burnt out. Also, I was in the process of fading out my hair because I'm probably going to do my hair like creepy from growing up creepy because the orange and the green are still vibrant. So I'm just going to touch those up. So my hair is looking a hot mess, but we're going to continue on. I also wanted to mention that like at the time of me filming this, I'm like 30 people away from 1,000 subscribers. Like, I can't get over, I really can't get over that. I can't. Thank you so much to anyone who watches my videos, anyone who's subscribed to my videos. When I started this channel, I thought I would maybe get 50, because a lot of people like the aesthetics of witchcraft instead of the who, what, where, why, how of them. So I was like, oh, I feel like my content's going to be a little bit boring for some people. I never thought I would be potentially hitting 1,000 people wanting to watch me. I noticed some other content creators that is like a tiny number, but like, thank you. Seriously, thank you. Thank you so much. I can't get over it. I don't know, because I haven't even posted the La Befana video yet, so I don't know if that number's going down, if that number's going up, or what point I'm at with when this video comes out, but oh my gosh. I'm not even halfway through December yet. Oh my gosh. Oh. But let's film into why you're here. We're going to make, like I said, some Phoenix Renewal Oil. This oil does have to sit for 5 months. I am preempting this now because this is, I don't want to say like a ritualistic big step oil, but for any infused oil blends that you want to make, you do want them to sit for a while to get the essences of the herbs or oils that you mix in, like other oils or resins, to make sure it's fully, like, you know, imbued and infused in the oil. I don't know why I'm doing all these crazy hand movements. Is this background too boring? It's just plain and white. Normally I'm on my other couch, but it is covered with stuff for Christmas, and I have to wrap it, so just in case someone sees something, I don't want to, you know. I'm going to sit on the couch. Hold on, I'm going to change angles. I don't know if that's better or worse, but I knocked over my floating plant, so this is a pain in the butt to try and get magnetized again, so it's probably just going to, yeah. I'm not going to be able to figure that out right now. Anyway, now for today's video, we're going to be making, like I said, an oil blend. So there's a few different ways to make this blend. So I give you multiple different options for, like, you know, each way of making it. Witchcraft and spell work is kind of like baking, if you know what I mean. There are so many different ways to bake a cake. However, what kind of ingredients you put into that cake will influence the type of cake it is. There are always substitutions. However, it won't be the same exact thing, if that makes any sense. Like if you're making a vanilla cake and in one recipe you use whole vanilla bean and then another one you use imitation vanilla extract, it's still technically going to be a vanilla cake. However, the end process and the result will be slightly different. If you know what I mean. Does that make sense? I'm just trying to point out that different ingredients will make the same but like varying things, since there's more to that like one ingredient. So that's why I mentioned that there are 2 ways to make this oil. And then I'm going to explain the multiple ways and uses for each one and what the end result will be like for each one. Instead of just keeping it generalized to whatever substitutions you may use. There's already too much generalization already in witchcraft. Details are important. The whys, the whos, the whats, the hows, the wheres. Did I say that twice? Learning and understanding is important. I'm also going to give you my personal incantation for this spell because this is my spell and my oil blend, I guess. As well as provide a main one that's famous that's found in the ever popular Egyptian Book of the Dead. This is a very old print. This print is from 1967. So there's a lot of copies that are out now that look different. Mine have the hieroglyphics with the translation underneath it. So I'm not sure if the newer copies are like this, but this is an old book. But today, we're going to start moving forward. Today, we start to crawl out of the darkness. Today, we start focusing on renewal, on rebirth. Today, we start to reclaim our power. Today, we start the Phoenix oil of renewal and rejuvenation. So I'm sure almost all of you are very familiar with the Phoenix. Like if you follow an Egyptian pantheon, they refer to it as the Bennu bird or Bennu. I'm not sure which one is the actual correct pronunciation, but I'll put the word of it here. The Bennu bird or Bennu bird. There's some arguments going back and forth if the Greeks took the idea of the phoenix from the Egyptians or if the Egyptians, likened the Bennu bird from, the Greeks. Because all the things that we found, some of the dates are conflicting and it goes back and forth, but that's neither here nor there. First off, let's discuss why you would use this oil. Like, what is the purpose? I don't want to speak for everyone, so I'm just going to speak for myself right here. But the holidays can be a dark and depressing time for some, and especially after the holidays. Holidays are over, we're getting less vitamin D. Some people's moods are affected by that more than others. And my seasonal depression kicks in super hard and normally hits a really big low around my birthday in February. Then it slowly starts to swing up before March and then kind of evens out when it gets to springtime. But since I'm inside all the time, I'm not traveling to or fro a business, like differentiating any space at all. I'm staying in the same spot day in and day out. I can't go out in the woods and do all the hikes and walks that I would love to do because the weather is so bad. It's really, really cold. It is very dark, very early. It is dark before I even get out of work, as I'm sure it is for most of you guys. Pretty sure almost all of you guys can relate to that part. So because of that, I kind of end up ruminating on all the past things in my life because that's where my brain likes to go with my depression. There's also been a lot that has happened in my personal life in the past 2 years or so, and I haven't been really been able to process anything during that time, except for recently. I've been kind of able to process it and think things through and work on things mentally. But because I have nothing else to do but think, then I start to overthink, but I want to move on from that. With everything that has happened on both sides of that coin, I really need to have a fresh start at this point and hold myself accountable. I have given too many things power. You know what I mean? Power as in the essence of letting them get into my thoughts, giving them time and space and energy that they don't deserve. Because each thought that we think gives something. So it's about 13 hertz, according to brainwave studies, of our own neurological, oh my god, there's that word again. Oh, flashbacks. A neurologist, you know what I mean? A neurologist, energy. And that is 13 hertz of electrical and chemical impulses of ourselves. That is too much. Literally giving energy to these things for something that won't help anyone except make ourselves feel bad. It's not like it's stuff that we could work through or try to process why we acted the way that we did. It's just overthinking and then thinking our feelings and then just getting depressed. But you know what? I'm a witch and I'm taking my power back. And don't forget that you are a witch and don't let anyone take power from you. Obviously, it can happen from time to time, but as soon as you're aware, take it back because it is yours. Remember that. So the phoenix is a mythological bird. Sorry, I'm trying to sit in frame. that is like associated and known for rebirth and resurrection, being born from its old self. It's in Christianity faith as well as mythology and folklore through multiple different beliefs. Bouncing back and forth between those belief systems, the main number associated with the phoenix is 5. For 500 years, 5,000 years, 5 centuries, 5 millennia, you know what I mean, so on and so forth. But that's part of the reason why this oil is going to sit for 5 months, plus the divine timing of everything. This oil starts on the dark moon, which is the night before the new moon for December. So this would be start on the 30th, because the new moon is the second new moon in 1 month, and it is the black moon. So some people believe this to be an extra powerful new moon, and it's also at the very end of the Gregorian calendar. It's like right for New Year's. And then after those 5 months are up, it'll be done exactly on Beltane, of all days, the holiday of renewal. How perfect is that? So like I said, I'm going to be making the oil on that day. I already filmed some things. I'm not going to be making the oil on camera, but I have the footage that I'm going to be putting in through the top, and I'm going to, walk you through each thing and everything up on screen, because I'm making mine for the new moon. I just want to actually make my actual batch, and I kind of want to do that and take my time instead of like having to film it for the spell work. So that's why I did like the little mock video of it. So let's do the step-by-step on how to make this oil and what you can do with it. So this oil can be added to candles, first and foremost, most basic thing to think of, right? Anytime that you feel like you need to come out of the darkness, connect a candle to yourself and dress it with the oil. Or do it for someone else if they mention that they're kind of like in a dark place right now and they want to kind of like start fresh and anew, and they're kind of coming to you for like witchy guidance or witchy help. Inserting the reminder here that magical advice is not the same as medical or mental health advice. I say this in every single video, but still, I'm inserting it in here right now as that reminder. If you work with poppets, you could dress your poppets with this oil. I have another video for like a Phoenix renewal spell with a poppet, but this one is completely different. But you can make the poppet of yourself or someone else and dress it with the oil, or put oil in it, or surround it with that oil in like a little container. Just don't forget to keep interacting with it. You don't want to like set it and forget it. It's not like one of those types of spells, because you do want to give it some thought and attention. You don't want to just assume that the universe is going to do all the work for you. I'm hoping this is making sense, because I know that it is some people's beliefs, but for this type of spell, you do want to make sure that you're interacting with it, that you are paying attention with it. You can every new moon, if you make a poppet with it, every new moon, dress it with this oil, or whatever feels right to you, or whenever you remember. You can anoint your jewelry with it. If it's any crystals, just make sure you check the Morse hardness scale, just to make sure that it coming into contact with liquid won't destroy it. But rings, necklaces, earrings, brooches, lapel pins, cufflinks, tie clips, hair clips, whatever, you can anoint it with that oil. Since we're going to be diluting this, depending on the ingredients, and I'll put a disclaimer for each ingredient, but depending on the ingredients that you go with for either recipe, once it's diluted and depending on the ingredients, you can anoint yourself with it. Put it on your wrist, your I almost said your power points, your pressure points, not power points. Take some in, rub it in through your scalp, add some to your body lotion. Again, depending on what ingredients that you add to it, which I'm going to list. The same goes for your baths. You can add this oil to your bath water for a nice cleansing, renewal, rejuvenating bath. Again, depending on what ingredients that you put in it. You can add this to spell bottles with name papers. Dab some on your petition papers. Put some on your magical bags that you have scattered everywhere. Unless that's just me. Rub some on coins or money very lightly to rejuvenate prosperity, to renew that money. Use it in your self-love and glamour spell, which is great, like especially if you're going to be changing your outward appearance as well. What I'm trying to say is there are so many things that you can use this oil for. Okay, so now let's get everything together for this. Like I said before, it's not even halfway through December yet, so I'm just going through the step-by-step. I did do some things on camera, like the whole candle part. I do that on camera, but for physically making the oil, I just have everything together and just pantomime on how to do it. So we start on the dark moon. So the dark moon is the night before the new moon, in case if you're not familiar with that term or if you never knew the difference between them. However, whenever you feel called to make this oil and you found this video after that date, it's meant for you to make it then, because there is a reason why you looked this up. So on the night of the dark moon, the night before the new moon, we're going to gather our ingredients. So the main things for either one that we're going to need is a red candle, or you can use orange or gold or white or black even. A container for your oil to be put in. I'm going to be using glass amber since I don't want sunlight turning it and souring any of the ingredients. So if you put dry herbs or resins in it, you want to make sure everything is dry and it's not in direct sunlight. You just want to keep it in a dark spot until Beltane hits, or 5 months from whenever you make it. Then you're going to need a carrier oil. So in this video, I'm showing grapeseed oil because that's all I had. I did not have any more sunflower oil, which I'm going to be getting, because sunflower oil is perfect for this as the carrier, because then we're still imbuing that solar energy. Think of the fiery solar element of the phoenix being reborn from the darkness into a bright new day. Sunflower oil is perfect for that. But if you don't have sunflower oil, that's fine. You could use grapeseed oil, you could use avocado oil, you could use sesame seed oil, you could use olive oil, avocado oil. I don't know if I said that. Anything like that works, except castor oil and mineral oil, which is like what's in baby oil. So baby oil too. You don't want to use those for this spell. The reason why is that these types of oils are very commonly used in baneful workings. Now, the reason why they're used in baneful workings is because of, think of castor oil. It is very, very thick and sticky. Mineral oils, even though it's kind of light, it is very coating and it is very slick. These are meant that way they can cover and coat the target. That way, whatever they stick, like someone throws at him, it sticks to the oil. You know what I mean? And that way the person doing the throwing can kind of slip away undetected by it. There's more to it, but just for a very quick sum up of that. Castor oils and mineral oil, baby oil, is normally used and reserved for baneful magic. That's why if you ever see my black cat oil, that's why I note on it that castor or mineral is for, those removal of hexes, because they'll be working in the reverse of that. And since I also use castor oil and mineral oils and baby oils and that stuff in my baneful workings, and this is my spell that I'm giving to you, I'm going again along with my beliefs and how I practice and what I work with. I hope that makes sense. Okay, moving on. What else are we going to need? Well, photo of yourself, but not just any photo. You want to print out a photo of you so it's on paper and not just an actual photograph, because it has to be a photo that you don't mind burning. This is optional. You don't have to do a photo if you don't want to, but the photo works best if it's from a dark time in your life. There's a lot of stuff happening, or if that is you currently and you're just kind of man, I feel so stuck in these slumps. I feel like I have no passion, no energy, no motivation for anything. I feel very disconnected and off from everything. Then it could be a photo of you from right now. But make sure it's printed out on paper, because then it's less ink and less chemicals than burning an actual photograph. Plus, we're going to need those ashes. The other one that you're going to need is another photo of yourself. And this is when you're actually feeling yourself, a photo of yourself that you actually really, really love. We're also going to be burning this one too, but again, paper version. If you don't have anything like that, what you can also do is, almost everyone now has a smartphone or a tablet or an iPad or a laptop or something with a camera and a screen. After we do the first part, when it comes for the second photo, you could just take a photo of you now after releasing that past self and keep it up on your phone while you're doing the rest of the spell. Then the other things is some burnable paper, some paper that you can easily burn, that you're going to write stuff on, and obviously a container to put it in that is fireproof. So a bowl, a fireproof bowl, or a cauldron, or a seashell, skull of your enemies, whatever works. Something that could safely hold something burning and contain the ashes of it, as well as some tongs to hold on to it if you wanted to, or some charcoal to burn it on top of. You don't have to, but those are the main ingredients for either spell. Very, very simple and easy and obtainable. Now, the first recipe is keeping true to the folklore of the phoenix. And if you don't have any of these ingredients, I'm leaving timestamps of everything down below. So if you're like, okay, I like this one, I'm going to stick with this one and skip the other recipe, you could skip ahead. But this recipe has to do strictly with the folklore of the phoenix. So it's this oil blend as if you wanted to work with with that studied folklore and all of its notes and history that like other people have done throughout the, you know, the centuries. So you could use the physical components of these ingredients if you have them and then put them in the oils, or if you have the essential oil version of them, you could use those too, or if you have a little bit of both, you can mix and match. There are only 3 main ingredients for the main folklore Phoenix blend oil: myrrh, frankincense, and or cardamom or cassia cinnamon bark, which is different than regular cinnamon. However, McCormick cinnamon, I said it right. Okay. McCormick cinnamon, my accent, is made with cassia cinnamon. You can tell by the color. The color is different because cinnamon bark is something completely different. But myrrh, frankincense, and cardamom or cassia cinnamon bark. The reason being is that through all of these stories throughout the centuries, what has never differed is that the phoenix builds its nest out of twigs of myrrh, frankincense, and cassia cinnamon. The phoenix nest also doubles as its funeral pyre, you know, from which after it is burned, it'll be reborn. These herbs are sacred to the phoenix. And if you don't have cardamom, you know what I mean. You could just rip open a chai tea bag and use that, or a chai K-cup, but that'll be better with the other recipe that I'm going to get to in a second. Each recipe is going to have its own resurrection herbs added to it, and those herbs are going to be added on the new moon. So the next night, to symbolize the resurrection, the renewal, the rebirth, and awaken for it. So for the folklore recipe, those resurrection herbs are an oak leaf, not oak moss. Moss is slow growing and very, very small. We don't want the slow growing energy. We want to stick with the fiery nature, but an oak leaf or palm, like a palm leaf or parts of a palm tree. And there's a reason for these 2 very specific ingredients. The reason being that the phoenix would build its nest or move its nest to the top of an oak tree or a palm tree right before it was going to fly into the temple to be reborn. Those were the only 2 trees that the phoenix would build its nest to, or take its nest to if it couldn't build its nest there, right before it went on to, you know, be transformed into the new phoenix. You can also add in a piece of a Rose of Jericho, because that also does go in with the folklore aspect of it from the Christian side, but it does also go in with the other recipes. So, you know, a little piece of your resurrection flower, just like a little end fern or something like that, you could add to the blend. That way you're not destroying the whole flower. And lastly, what we're going to be adding to both of these is ashes. The other recipe, all of this stuff is made up of things of what the phoenix represents, not essential parts of it. So if you already know that you want to do the other oil and you have all the ingredients, you know, you could skip ahead to the next part. Everything is linked in the description below for all the timestamps. But if you want to check out this recipe, this blend is for the different energies, all the different qualities that make up the phoenix. This is an oil blend that you would do if you didn't have all those other ingredients. Still follows the same format as the first one. The first half of the ingredients get added on the dark moon, and then the resurrection ingredients get added in the next night on the new moon. So the base ingredients, again, you know, you have the candles, you have the carrier oils, you have the container to put it in, the photos or the pieces of paper, burnable containers, something to burn and something to write with, you know, all that stuff. All that stuff remains the same for either one. But the base ingredients for the essence of the phoenix, what the phoenix represents, the energy of the phoenix, for this one is calendula or calendula. Because remember, the phoenix represents like that solar and spicy energy. So these ingredients are probably going to click as I go down the list because it's spicy. Then we have spearmint, which is like cold spicy. I'm going to get into details in a second. Cedar, basil, marjoram, black pepper, anise, clary sage, and clove. So calendula is associated with the phoenix due to healing, solar energy, rebirth, and, you know, admiration. Spearmint, or basically any kind of mint, can be added due to different forms of mint being offerings to gods, because it's seen as the fresh breath of starting anew. It was also believed, you know, to revitalize the soul, to like renew the soul. Then we have cedar for rejuvenation. rejuvenation. Basil, as it was one of the herbs given in offering to the phoenix, because the phoenix was believed to eat different spices and herbs, and that was believed to be a spice that the phoenix ate. So it's only in a few random beliefs. It's not universal across other ones. That's why it's not in the folklore one. Madrum, due to its healing and spicy protection. It was also like sacred to the Egyptians and used a lot in the mummification process too. Black pepper, because it stands for fire and rebirth. Star anise, due to its fiery connection to the celestial realm, but it's also helpful in blocking the evil eye. You know, because once you burn through all that BS and you come out with such a baddie on the other side, hate is gonna hate. Clary sage is actually for its ties of childbirth. Long ago, clary sage was used to help with like the pain of the the contractions during childbirth. So it's tied in with that birth, that renewal, that brand new cycle. And clove, because again, in some beliefs, it was believed that it was a spice / herb that the phoenix would eat, and it was given as offerings. Other beliefs had that, you know, the phoenix used clove with cardamom to, you know, make its nest. And then the last part, obviously, solar energy and protection. You know, it's that little spike to guard you like a talon of a phoenix. And then the resurrection herbs for this one is, again, Rose of Jericho. I don't think that one needs any explanation for that one. Ginger, being nice and spicy. Rejuvenation. All of these I feel like are very self-explanatory. You have orange. Again, solar energy, revitalizing. These are all very pungent smells. Then we have laurel leaves, which are bay leaves. Laurel is sacred to Apollo. Apollo's, you know, other sign is the phoenix. The phoenix is associated and tied with Apollo. I don't feel like enough people realize that bay leaves are laurel leaves. And that's totally fine. I just wanted to give you that reminder just in case, because we all just call them bay leaves because it's bay laurel. You know what I mean? And then again, ashes. Okay, so let's get into making the oil now. The first thing that I am doing is I am dressing my candle. So this candle that I have is a red candle, and it's imbued, that you could see, with the essence of the Dagaz rune, because it is a big red candle and it stands for renewal and rebirth. So I thought I would incorporate the rune into my sigil that I'm going to make for the phoenix. So I'm going to take my little porcupine quill and carve my rune, and then afterwards I'm going to add the phoenix-like qualities to that. I can't see the video, so hopefully I'm explaining everything in enough time where it makes sense. The rune, the wings, and like the heart of the bird, and then I'm added in like the head and the tail, and then you could dress it with the oil. If you want, you could use a little bit of like cinnamon oil. You could use a little bit of any of the oils that were mentioned. But I lucked out. I had some sun oil. You could see that I'm wearing gloves just because this one doesn't come with a cap and it has a lot of oil. And if all that oil got on my hands right away, I would be able to touch anything else because so much oil comes out. But I like to connect with the oil in my spells. So I'm going to rub the oil all over the candle. I'm probably going to fast forward this because it makes me feel so awkward to do on camera. You know, dressing a candle, very awkward. But to make the sigil pop, I'm adding in some gold mica. That it's safe and it's burnable. If you have safe glitter that you're able to burn, not craft glitter, but regular safe glitter because you don't want to burn little bits of plastic, you could add that in if you wanted. You could add in cinnamon. You can crush up and grind any of the herbs that I mentioned. And same with the oil blends. If you want to dress the candle kind of plain like how I did, you can. I just did this because I'm letting the oil sit and I'm going to be adding more to the candle the day of when I'm doing the spell. And I did a big candle because I'm going to be continuously burning this candle throughout the spell. You could just do a chime candle either day that you're doing it, because don't forget, we're going to be working on it 2 days in a row. Now for whatever way or blend that you're making this, if you're using essential oils, for frankincense and myrrh, you're going to use 12 drops each. Now, if they are mixed in together, then you would just do 24 drops. Everything else will be 5 drops, except for like the C ones, like the cassia, cinnamon, cardamom, or even star anise and black pepper. That I would be using 3 drops of, because it is a stronger spice. If you're using any of those, if you're using, frankincense, myrrh, eucalyptus, spearmint, ginger, orange, those are safe to take a bath with. If you're using pepper, cinnamon, cardamom, marjoram, star anise, allspice, any of those, I would not add to anything that you would put on your skin or in your bath water, because those are irritants. And if you're making an ounce of it, I would use half of a star anise, because you don't want to mix a bunch of that, especially with eucalyptus, because they both have carcinogens that can induce seizures if taken in like large amounts. If you're making 2 ounces of it, then you could use a decent sized whole star anise. But if you're making 1 ounce and you're using the full item, I would use half of a star anise. Or a nice anise. Now, if you're going to be doing the dry herbs, you can grind them up in your mortar and pestle, or if you decide to, with working with the resin, if you just want to drop in a few chunks of the resin, I would just use like a teaspoon for each amount that you use. You take a little teaspoon, if you have those with the little crystals, at the end, those little tiny teaspoons, those are perfect sizes. Just add in a scoop of each thing. You could add in the whole chunks of the resin, or you could add all the ingredients to your mortar and pestle and grind them up nice, and add them in that way. But either way, on the night of the dark moon, once you add in the base ingredients, once you're done, that is when you would light your candle. Now, I'm going to give you my incantation, and then I'm also going to read to you and put up the snippet of the one from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, in case you wanted to do that one. Keep in mind that all spells don't have to sound this fancy or this elaborate. This is mine. You could change it up. You could say your own personal thing. A lot of my spells do rhyme because it's easier for me to remember it and keep the flow. So that is just a personal preference. Spells don't need to rhyme, and they don't need to sound all fancy. This one, since it's like a big dramatic 2-day event, and any change I feel like is sometimes dramatic, I made it dramatic because that was my choice. But feel free to tailor this or anything else like that. I'm going to put the words on the screen as I say it. By fire and flame I call to thee, O Phoenix, immortal spirit of rebirth and renewal. From the ashes of what once was, you arise new in radiant glory, shining brighter than the sun. Your wings spread wide as you soar through the cycles of time. In the sacred moment, I invoke your power to transform and transmute all that no longer serves. Burn away the old, the heavy, the broken, and leave behind only what is pure and whole. Grant me the strength to rise from my own ashes, to shed my former self and embrace what is yet to be. With each flame that dances, I awaken to my true essence. Reborn with the wisdom of fire, my soul renewed, my spirit unbound. O Phoenix, guide me through this sacred fire and help me emerge from the darkness, stronger, wiser, and ready to fly. So it is, and so shall it be. And then the other option, while the candle is burning, like I said, there is a famous spell. It's spell 83 in the Egyptian Book of the Dead for the Bennu bird, or Bennu bird. My book is from 1967, so I'm not sure if there has been any updates to the translation of this or not. And with my Rhode Island accent, I am going to butcher some of these names, so I'm going to put the text of it on screen as I read it. Again, like I said, it is spell 83 if you wanted to even look it up and Google it instead if you don't have this book. The chapter of changing into a Bennu. Sath Osiris, the scribani, triumphant in peace. I come into being from unformed matter. I create myself in the image of the god Kapara, and I grew into the form of plants. I am hidden in the likeness of the tortoise. I am formed out of the atoms of all the gods. I am the yesterday of the 4 quarters of the world, and I am the 7 Uri who came into existence in the east, the mighty one who illumineth the nation by his body. He is God in the likeness of Set, and Toth dwelleth in the midst of them by judgment, of the dweller of Sekhem and of the spirits of Anu. I sail among them, and I come. I am crowned. I am become a shining one. I am mighty. I am become holy among the gods. I am the god Kanushu, who driveth back all that opposeth him. I was trying so hard not to cough during that, and my accent butchered that. That's why I'm leaving the text up on the screen. Now, keep in mind, the one from the Egyptian Book of the Dead is an invocation, so that is calling to influence. In mine, I say invoke. Well, invoke with my accent, but that is to call into an external situation, so I'm calling it into the oil because it is in a controlled environment. And technically, you don't have to say anything if you don't want to. Just think about everything that you want to overcome. And this is when we move into the ashes part. So on that photo of you, either from a dark time or even you from right now, things that you want to move forth. Or if you don't do that, you would just end up writing down everything that you feel are your weaknesses. Things like things that you feel like you can't get over, like those old things, bad habits that you want to break. All of those thoughts that kind of sit up there, and the things that you dwell on that you can't move past, sometimes we, like I said, we harp on them without even meaning to. And that's when we just disassociate. We zone out into a phone, or we zone out into the TV just to not think about it. And it's just a distraction. We don't ever cope with it. We just kind of keep distracting ourselves because we think ourselves into all of our feelings. But all of that, you're either going to write down on a piece of paper, or you're going to write it on the back of that picture of you from either present time, if this is you right now, or from the past. Really feel it. It's okay if you get emotional. It's okay if you want to scream. It's okay if you want to yell. It's okay if you want to cry, or if you do cry. And it's okay if you feel nothing. And you're going to burn it in that fire-safe dish. Whatever you decide to burn it in, you're going to burn it. Blow the smoke from the ashes away from you. Just blow it all, move it all away from you. But don't get rid of those ashes. Let them sit in that container for the next night. But even as the ashes are done burning, don't blow out your candle. Keep your candle lit as safely as you can for however time will allow while you're working with this oil. But let's move on now to the new moon. On the new moon, for either blend that you make, this is the moon that we're going to add in the herbs that represent resurrection, that represent renewal, that represent rebirth. Because now it is the new moon and the powerful black moon. So it's a perfect time to add those things in. The oil has been sitting in all essences of the phoenix overnight. It's been sitting with herbs that are tied to the phoenix, either historically that multiple people have put energy in, or it's, sitting in the essence of everything that the phoenix represents. Either way, that oil is already filled with that phoenix type intention and everything that we pumped into it. So, now we got to factor that up a little bit. So the next night on the new moon, this is when you add in your resurrection herbs. Again, the resurrection herbs for the folklore bit is over here. And then the resurrection herbs for everything that the phoenix represent. The reason why I went through everything else before is that way when you're adding in these things, if you miss an ingredient or two, you kind of know what exactly is the essence of the oil that you're making. Now's the part of when you have a picture of the new you. So again, this could be a picture that you printed out, or this is when you're taking a picture of yourself on your phone or whatever device. If you wanted to do this part, remember this part is optional. This is when you would take that photo of you. Try to think of everything that makes you happy. Feel powerful. Think powerful thoughts. Remember that you are a conductor of electrical energy whizzing through you right now. Don't forget it. Focus on that and then take your picture. Now, what we're going to do is either, if you have a paper picture, write on the back of it or a new piece of paper, all those weaknesses that you listed before, like the night before, last night, we're going to write down how we can turn those into strengths. We're going to write how far we have come through everything that we have been through. We're going to write about everything that you have overcome in your life. Sometimes when things are happening, we don't look back enough to see how much we have actually gone through. But even though we have gone through terrible things, we have overcome the majority of them. There is still stuff that we never thought we would be able to handle. And here we are, days, weeks, months, seconds, hours, years later from that point. We're so focused sometimes on certain things that we lose track of all the amazing things that we have done, all these happy things, all the ways that we're able to turn things around, and all the things that make us absolutely beautiful, badass, powerful witches and humans. But you know what I mean. And we're going to write down all those motivational things and everything else that we've come from and that we've turned around in our life. Even if it's not recent, even if things have turned around before and now they're back being bad again, it doesn't matter. You still overcame it in that part of your life. That is the part that you want to focus on for now, because we're going to take those moments of when you had your power back and apply it now to the now. Is this making sense? I hope this is making sense. We're going to put in how we're going to grow from them, how we're going to move forward from them, and we're going to write it down. When you're doing this now, focus on that power, that passion, that happiness, however it makes you feel. If you just want to laugh crazily, or again, if you want to scream, if you want to cry, any emotion that you feel tied to this, don't hold yourself back. If you need to scream, scream. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to laugh, laugh. If you just can't feel anything, don't force yourself. Just allow yourself to acknowledge that you're feeling everything all at once. It's not a lack of emotions, it's just everything. And whatever you're doing, feel the essence of it, and that you're going to come back this powerful god or goddess baddie that you are. And no one or no thing is going to keep taking that power from you. 13 hertz adds up to a lot of power. And that's just for one brief thought. Imagine if you tied in the energy of how long you were actually thinking of these. Think of that in currents. Think of how many light bulbs in a house. Could you pay your electric bill? Because I know my electric bill is high, and I probably could have paid my lifetime support with all the thoughts that are up here. But when you're done with that, what you're going to do is you're going to take that piece of paper that you wrote everything down on right now, like all the positive stuff, how we're going to move forward. And then you're going to take the ashes that you burnt yesterday, and you're going to put them in the middle of that paper. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fold the paper over to the right. The right in most beliefs is symbolism of moving forward. That is the future, while the left is considered a lot to be the past. I'm not talking about like left-hand path or anything like that. It's just like the yin-yang receptive forces of energy. But anything can't move back because the fold is there, making that wall to show that we can't go back to the past from this point. We can only move forward. So that's why we just fold it to the right. We're not turning it clockwise. We're not moving it any way, shape, or form or anything else like that. We're literally like folding it once to the right. And we're going to burn that too with the ashes from yesterday. So we're going to further destroy all that past essence until it is the finest. Because we're not going to go back and revisit the things that cannot serve us. Burn up that ash. And then as it's burning, bring that smoke up into you. Because now we are being reborn from that smoke. Once it's done burning, put it off to the side to cool, and then we're going to add in all of those resurrection herbs. Once you're done adding in those resurrection herbs and the ashes have cooled, then we're going to add them into the oil. Again, make sure the candle is lit or use another candle for this day. Like I said, I think I mentioned this, I snuff mine out. I don't blow out my candles because it is my belief, it doesn't have to be yours, but I rather put the brakes on something than blow away any essence, energy, or intent that I had imbued in the candle. So instead of me blowing out and risking, because I'm blowing it out, I don't want to push any of that away, so I just snuff mine. That way I'm further pushing it into the candle and I'm just putting on the brakes. But if you're able to burn the candle to completion, perfect. If you're not able to safely do so, I snuff mine, just so I don't like snuffing it because I don't like putting on the brakes, but I do snuff mine if I have to. But while that candle is lit and you're adding in the ashes, you're going to do the incantation one more time. So either mine, you can make up your own, the Egyptian Book of the Dead one. Again, the timestamps are down below if you need to see it again to take screenshots. It always makes me wonder how many random people's, well, not random, not that you guys are random, but how many people's phones have like screenshots of me, because I'm always putting the words up on the screen to make sure you guys aren't missing anything. It's not a big deal, but I think about that and I'd be like, I wonder how many of them are like, I need to take screenshots of this to take notes. But I'm not going to lie, that makes me feel really cool. Then after that, you're done. If you want to interact with the spell every new moon, you can. For me, for every new moon, depending on what sign that new moon is in, I might make a candle, or I might, use some crystals with it and charge some crystals around with it. On the new moon, interact with it, do my incantation over it. Shake it up every so often, because you do want to make sure everything is getting mixed. You know what I mean? Mixed properly. But every new moon, the energy and the sign of the new moon is what dictates the energy for that month, and then the full moon is how to work with that energy. You know what I mean? So like if there's like a new moon in Capricorn and then the full moon is in like Aries, you know what I mean? I don't know if that's actually what the signs are off the top of my head, because all I have right now in my head is work jargon, because it's been such a long day. But like, cliche scorched earth policy, best way of moving forward from that low, not like low, but like that earthy grounding energy of working with like money and material things and finances and other forms of stability, earth in general. And then the full moon is in fire, so most people would just resort to like a candle spell. I'm doing this in the most simplest terms ever, because I've already talked about so much in this video and it's hard without me physically doing it. But anyway, do it in a way that makes sense to you and that you'll remember how to do it. If you want to set an alarm on your phone to interact with it every so often, you can. Doesn't matter, it doesn't hurt. But hopefully that was helpful to some of you. Hopefully it makes sense. It's really hard doing it because I have to film it all in separate bits, because like I said, my work is crazy. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. My next few videos might be very simple, silly ones. I really want to do a reaction video, so I might do that. I don't know if that'll be boring for you guys, but I really want to give my honest opinion on witchcraft, because then it's also easier for me to have a jump point for something if I'm seeing different things, because then it spurs off 1,000 ideas in my head. And I don't know if you want to hear me talk for hours about witchcraft, but seeing one thing can spear me off and just take me down a route. When I'm here alone after a very long day of work staring at my phone, I'm just kind of like, do you guys like bread? I like bread. But like I said, hopefully this was helpful to some of you. I really hope that you guys make this oil. Like I said, you could use it in your money magic. You could use it in your glamour magic. I love glamour magic. I haven't done glamour magic in such a long time. I probably should. I'm looking a hot mess. But I'm my own hot mess. Yeah. Use it in friendship spells, confidence spells, luck spells, renew that luck, anything like that. I hope that you use this and I hope you utilize it. And then, come Beltane, I'll probably make a video of me showing different ways that I'm using my Phoenix oil and what mine like. Again, I want to say thank you to all of you who watch my videos, who like on it and comment on it. Hopefully, like I said, I'm not crazy behind and everything. I don't know what work is going to be like, because literally just started that new 12-hour day schedule. Is it longer than 12 hours? 8 to 8? Oh my gosh. And then 9 to 5 on Saturdays, so I have one day off to do everything. Film, cook, clean, errands. Oh my gosh. Oh. So hopefully I'm catching up with comments, and if I haven't responded to anything in a while, I'm not ignoring you. I'm not ignoring anybody. I appreciate you. I will see it when I see it. I'm very sorry. I was not expecting even longer hours with work till January 31st. But I can't believe I'm only 30 subscribers away from 1,000 people. That's a lot. That's wow. Thank you. Seriously, thank you so much. I really hope that you're having a great energy space, whatever day, time, night, evening, day. I don't know why I'm 80s dancing right now. And wherever you are, I hope that you're having a great whatever that is. And I really, truly hope that good things happen to you. Bye.